going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good morning, good morning. How are you lot doing? Hope you're taking in the win. Hope you've dissected the win. I hope you're still pleased with the 3 points going into the international break. Of course, the performance was bad, but it was smash and grab settings. It's early doors. If we could have done a smash and grab at Southampton, we would have taken it, of course. But transfer news, Man United latest transfer update. It is the last couple of days of the transfer window. We're going to talk a little bit about Jesse Lingard. Apparently, Ronaldo has completed his medical as well, which I'm pretty sure you guys know. We'll talk a little bit about that. Cavani is staying put. And I don't mean by transfers because that's already been confirmed, even though the arrival of Ronaldo has happened. But the Uruguayan authorities, football authorities, have confirmed that with the problem with the English players as well, travelling in that far, etc., quarantining, we've got our way and the player stays. We needed him yesterday. We brought him on. He didn't really have that much impact, to be fair, but the option was there. And as we keep going, we're going to need him. So that's good to know as well. A little bit on Ahmad as well. We know that his loan move has been cancelled due to a long-term... the Feyenoord source was basically saying, people from Feyenoord were saying it looks like he's going to be out for a while. So that's a big shame for Ahmad. And Daniel James as well. So a lot going on. The stuff on Diogo Dalot, I mean, Diogo Dalot came on for like the last 5-10 minutes yesterday to see the game out. But there was talks he was pushing for a move to Dortmund, so we're going to get into that as well. So yeah, as everyone knows, man, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and you lot know what to do in terms of letting me know in the comments where you lot are watching from and how you lot are feeling. Jesse Lingard. This is a bit of a weird one because there's not loads of reports saying this, but there's a couple of reports saying that, and I take this with tongue in cheek, but the second part of it was a bit more interesting. There's a few reports suggesting that Jesse Lingard met with David Moyes yesterday, but the content of the meeting is unknown. Well, first of all, it's very vague. It's very vague. It isn't coming from many credible sources. I saw it from a couple of sources, but I think the reason why it is a discussion point this close to the end of the transfer window is because we know Jesse's situation. We know Manchester United's stance from Ollie, which is that he expects him to be here, etc., etc. Brought him on for 5 minutes against Southampton. Didn't come off the bench yesterday. So, yeah, you can understand that. But we do need to talk about it because actually, with just over 48 hours left, or just over 24 hours left, sorry, but just under 48 hours, should I say, anything can happen. Football moves quickly. We know that Manchester United aren't going to be able to bring in anyone else unless we force sales. That was another thing I want to talk about a little bit about really quick. But at the end of the day, there is always the opportunity that Jesse Lingard could potentially leave, I suppose, if the right deal came in. Potentially, even though Ollie said, I'll have him. Like I've said many times, the relationship that Ollie's got with him is kind of determined the way that this is going to go. So I think if Jesse stays, it won't be because Man United blocked to move. Personally, I don't think that, unless someone tried to take the piss, like West Ham tried to buy him for 5 million or something stupid like that. The reason Jesse stays is because I think he has asked to stay or wants to stay. So it is a bit of an odd one, but here's what some of the quotes were saying. They're saying that David Moyes met Jesse Lingard, and there's a possibility that he returns to West Ham on loan and signs a new deal at Manchester United. Now, listen, if that happens, it would kind of be not back to square one of re-signing players who we know we're not going to be in the plans. Well, it would if we re-signed him and then he didn't leave. Do you know what I mean? The only way that would be a good move is if we re-signed him and then say, oh, look, he's got 3 years left on his contract, on his new contract. You want to buy him, West Ham? Or give him a 3-year deal and then West Ham take him on loan. At the end of that season, he has 2 years left on his contract. But for me, just get the deal done if Jesse wants to leave. Like, I don't see the point in giving him a new contract. It just feels like it'll be dragging out. It's got this far with Jesse potentially not going. If there's going to be a U-turn and he's going to leave, then just let him go. Just sort it out and let him go. That's the best thing to do, in my opinion. Just the whole dragging it out thing, it's just not going to work. But, you know, it is about protecting assets. So if Manchester United say, look, here's a 2-year deal, go out, but he goes out on loan, it does show you that he's not really in the plans. And then when West Ham want to buy him at the end of this year, if they gave him a 2-year deal, we have 1 year left, then there's a little bit. But then But hold on a minute, no, that's like selling him now. Jesse's going into the last year of his contract, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's going to the last year. So if they gave him a 2 year, let him go on loan for a year at West Ham, then he comes back after that year. He's basically back to the situation he is in now, where they don't want to sell him for X amount or Y amount. So it's a bit of a weird one. Again, I just think Jesse's going to dictate what happens in that situation. To a certain point, I get it. The second part of the dictation of the position will come from the club in terms of what they want from West Ham. But I think if Jesse makes up enough noise on a personal level and says to Ollie, actually, I know that you said I'm in your plans, but I thought about it. It's been bugging me last couple of days. Can you make it happen? I want to go play football. Then clearly the loan's going to be the best option in terms of paperwork, in terms of his wages, in terms of the deal that they had last year to bring him there for 6 months from January. That kind of stuff will probably be easier to do with such a short space of time. But it doesn't. But it's annoying from our point of view because we can see that Jesse is probably never going to get back into this side, and that's the harsh reality of it. I want the best for Jesse Lingard. I just want to see him play football. He looked so happy at West Ham last year in that short space of time. Hit the ground running. The West Ham fans loved him just like we do, because how can you not love Jesse Lingard? But more importantly, he did it on the pitch, and with what West Ham are doing right now, I'll tell you what, we're strengthening not someone who's going to rival us for the top four. I'm not going to say that, but we're giving ourselves. I know he's not going to play against us if we loan him there, but we're giving them a really good player for their system, for their style of play, for what their aspirations are. He's perfect for West Ham, and I don't think West Ham fans, if there's any watching, would disagree with that. I don't think I've even seen any West Ham fans say no, don't need him. Forget it. And they got a long season with Europa League. It just fits. So if it is going to happen, it's clearly not going to be a permanent. I don't see a permanent happening between now and 11 o'clock tomorrow night. There's too much to sort out. Football moves quickly. I get it. Look how quickly we saw Ronaldo, so never say never. But to me, that looks a little bit... not really sure about that. Dan James. I want to talk a little bit about Dan James. It's... Apparently Leeds are in for him potentially on loan or on a permanent. He started yesterday, raised a lot of eyebrows yesterday that he did start. But I could kind of see why in terms of Pogba coming off from the left-hand side because Ollie clearly wasn't going to play Donny van de Beek. And I did say that in the road trip down there. He's not going to play Donny, and Matic and Fred were horrendous the week before. So really he's got to go with Pogba and Fred because you don't want to play Donny, which I still don't get. So you're going to have to bring Jadon over to the left, and you want Mason back up front again because Martial wasn't great against Southampton. And then it leaves a spot on the right-hand side. Who's going to play on the right? I'm not going to stick Martial there and form he's in. You're going to go with Dan James. So until we get players back, and Cavani wasn't quite ready, and obviously Ronaldo's not there. So I could see why in that moment we put him there. It just shows as well he's ahead of the pecking order back to Jesse Lingard. Dan James is ahead of him. Do you know what I mean? Jesse Lingard. If Ollie rated Jesse Lingard, he could have started him yesterday instead of Dan James. It's as simple as that. But again, the pecking order and where people are at in that squad shows that Jesse Lingard is not even ahead of Dan James, and that's an issue. That's an issue for Jesse Lingard. It's a big issue. But back to Dan James. Look, I think with the arrival of Ronaldo, and in a weird way, with the injury of Ahmad, which his loan move's now been cancelled to Feyenoord. But he'll be fit again later on in the season. Alanga's not going to go out on loan, I don't think. We can kind of afford to let Dan James go. And Jesse's still being there. If he still stays, there needs to be something to move. And again, I hate to keep taking it back to Jesse Lingard, but it just proves again how he's just not going to play. Sorry, I keep going back to Jesse because it just annoys me. Like, I want him to. I just want the best for him. But anyway, back to Dan James. We can afford to let Dan James go. Now, some people, people like Ricky, big up Ricky, and some other people, think he's class, think he's brilliant for the squad, think he's a fantastic winger, understand his positioning. But with the players that we got, the fact is he's not going to play. You could say, some people were saying that, Mason didn't play well yesterday, and a lot of players didn't. Neither did Dan James. I mean, Dan James clattered someone actually when I think there was going to be a counter attack, which was a good tackle. He did that against Leeds actually as well, against Bamford. And then there was a cross shot in the first half that went narrowly wide. Other than that, was Dan James really involved? Not really. But I don't think yesterday in particular is not a game where I'd get onto Dan James and say this highlights why he was awful, because for large parts everybody was awful. We couldn't control the tempo of the game. We weren't dominant enough on the ball. We didn't use the ball well enough. All we were doing was trying to run in behind and didn't get over the top. So I'm not blaming yesterday on Dan James, but in general, we've seen enough evidence in Dan James's game to see the limitations and to see what he offers. Now, I think it was a few shows ago when I was last with you guys by myself, I said the things that James does well and why Ollie plays him. But essentially, that end product, that sprinkle of stardust is not there with Dan James. A good, honest player. He keeps positions well and he can stretch teams late on. But right now, we've just got Ronaldo. Cavani's not going anywhere. We've got Martial. We've got Rashford to come back from injury. You've got Sancho there now. The need for Dan James and maybe Jesse Lingard's going to stay. I think if Jesse Lingard goes, Dan James stays. I think Jesse Lingard is the closest to leaving. That's what I think will happen, because then if Jesse Lingard does leave, you do need a bit of a security blanket. It's still gonna, you're gonna get players maybe being out with COVID. You are gonna get injuries. We should be fighting on all fronts for a lot of trophies. You need a fixed squad. So I think, and Solskjaer likes Dan James. Let's not forget that. I don't think Ollie will be trying to force Dan James out the club. He's trusted him, and Dan James has. You have to say, for Dan James's ability, he's done the most he can. He's been a good, honest player for Solskjaer, and he's got the trust of the manager. Ollie speaks about it loads, about why he trusts certain players, and Dan James comes into that category, starting big games for us. So I don't think he'll be forced out the club, but I think if Dan James says, "What's your plans for me? Am I going to play?" and he says, Elanga's going to stay, Ahmad's now back and not going to go, he's going to be fit in a couple of months. Jesse's going to stay as well. He's confirmed to me he's not going to accept anything from West Ham because he wants to stay now, or we couldn't reach an agreement. I'll let you go. That's how I see it. That's honestly how I see it, because he's not going to get any game time. He's not, and I think Solskjaer will understand that if certain things do or do not happen in the next 48 hours. So Dan James is an interesting one to keep your eye on. Edinson Cavani staying put. Edinson Cavani stays put. The Uruguayan FA have confirmed that they will not be selecting Edinson Cavani for this upcoming World Cup qualifiers. Look, a lot of us, I don't want to speak for everyone, are club over country. You see that a lot in football. Ollie had some comments where he said, well, I'm not a player anymore, but if it was me, I know who pays my wages. Basically saying, Man United's my employer. If it was a choice between going to international break, especially that far, even though Ollie was Norwegian, acting like he's changed nationality, is Norwegian, he wouldn't have gone that far. But he's basically saying, I know where my bread's buttered, so I wouldn't be going as an easy choice. The tribalist in me and the Man United fan in me that wants the best for the club at all costs, I agree with that. But I did think that was a little bit, not insensitive, but playing for your country for some of these players, maybe especially South American players, is an ultimate honour. And these aren't just meaningless friendlies to their nation. I'm just having a little bit of respect for Uruguayan fans and Uruguayan FA. Even though this decision's been made, I'm happy with it, of course, because I'm a Man United fan. But I do think it's important to remember that to certain players, representing their country is the highest achievement they can get. A lot of players will tell you that. Past players, present players. I dare say if you ask a lot of players, some may choose to represent international more than their club. I don't know, because it means more to them. They might have, especially players who are born and raised in that country and still have family members living in that country and play in foreign leagues. I think it's a bit different with the English boys. But I just think Ollie saying that was music to our ears as Man United fans, but it could have rubbed up people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, the decision's been made, so I'm pleased for that. I wonder if Cavani, again, I don't know, this is just me speculating or just kind of talking to you guys about it. I wonder if Cavani is pissed at that. I wonder if he really wanted to go. I wonder if he's now angry at the fact that he knew that it was going to be made difficult for him to go there, so now his Uruguayan FA have basically tapped out and said, nah, we you know what, we're not even going to get involved in that. I don't know. We'll have to see. But what I do know is that it's a good thing for Man United. I mean, yesterday, I thought Mason was so isolated for long periods. He was screaming out for Cavani, even though we kind of played in the same way when Cavani came on. It just wasn't that type. The performance level just reached a point where we were never going to be able to raise it for any sustained period of time. It needed to be a smash and grab, like I said yesterday. And early on in the season, where points are very valuable because you need a good start, and no disrespect, we're not playing any of the top six right now. They're quite winnable games at the start that we've had. You know, Leeds, Southampton, and Wolves is always a tough place to go to. And we don't always play well at Molineux. You take it, you get out. Like we were saying last week, when you have an uncomfortable game like against Southampton, a lot of people were saying Chelsea don't draw that game. Man City don't draw that game. Liverpool would find a way to win that game, especially getting back to 1-1 and being in the ascendancy. And we were saying, if you want to win the league, if we want to be in the conversation for the league, you need to turn them draws where you're dropping 2 points. You need to turn them into W's. And obviously being in losing positions and getting back into the game, you need to turn them into W's. You can't have too many of them type of results. So on that point of view, how many times have you seen Man City do that? How many times have you seen Chelsea dig it out? How many times have you seen Liverpool dig out bad results? Well, good results from bad performances. I think the frustration comes because I think those other sides like Man City, like Liverpool, they have proof in the tank that actually those things are more uncharacteristic than not. That type of performance from Man United yesterday, we can associate with that. When I was speaking to Scott Saunders from 90 Minutes last week at Southampton, and it was only the second game of the season, of course, but he was like, it kind of just reminds us of what's still in that squad in terms of how we play football, in terms of our attacking patterns or lack of, in terms of needing to sort out the midfield. The problem still exists. It's just that we have such good players and we're getting even better players that we still manage to score goals in the flash of in an instant. So, you know, that's testament to the players that we got and the recruitment that we're doing, and bringing in the likes of Mason and growing him and nurturing him because he's got that star quality. But a lot of things went in our favour yesterday. How Wolves did not score yesterday, I do not know. I do not know. But it's one of them where at the end of the day, we got the W. We got the W. We needed the W. So it was frustrating, but you have to win your games. You have to win your games. And just on Cavani, just where he fits in. I mean, look, Ronaldo, Ollie's quotes as well. He said he has come here. He hasn't come here to be on the bench. He will elevate us to a new level. I loved what Paul Pogba said. Just on Varane, he was like, I didn't think he was going to come here. But you know, he told me on holiday that he would. But also, Paul Pogba was asked about, you know, we've got the best away record in the history of the English game, in the English top flight, and he's like, yeah, that's a great run, but we need to win. We need to win something, and it's so true. With where we're at right now, am I particularly bothered with the away record? I look at it and say it's a good achievement. You have to, you know, pat yourself on the back really quickly and say, well done, boys. We're really difficult to beat away from home, and you need to be in this league. But it stands for nothing if we finish third with no trophy, but we still remain unbeaten because we've got a bag of draws away from home. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really, you know, we could get to 100. We can get to 100 unbeaten, 100 not out. But if there's 60 draws in that and 40 wins, it doesn't, do you know what I mean? We won't win anything. So, yeah, I'm not really intertwined with that. I'm not really behind that in terms of championing it and keep talking about it. It's a good achievement. It shows stability. It shows that away from home, the mentality is there to not lose. But we saw yesterday there were far too many draws. And obviously our home form wasn't great last year. So let's see how it pans out. We need to do more like what we did yesterday, which is when we're not playing well, carve something out and see what happens from there. Just to finish off, guys, real quick. Deadline day is approaching. We'll be going live as things happen. We've got a big day planned for you tomorrow. Can't wait for you to see certain bits that we've got coming tomorrow as well. I'm quite excited about that. I'll be on Sky Sports as well very soon. That's what I've had to do a little bit of a record this morning to kind of get something out to you guys so you guys can get into some of the latest news. And if anything breaks throughout the day, we will be ready to go. So smash a like on the video, guys. Thanks for all the support. And yesterday, it was quite funny, actually, just before I go. Big up to the Wolves fans as well. You guys saw how I was interacting with them, and they're just a really nice set of people, a nice set of supporters. I know every fan base has, you know, good and bad in it, but big up to them. And all the fans yesterday that I was coming across, our fans, it was absolutely brilliant. Loads of fans Loads of United fans were just, it was just sick yesterday. Everyone singing Viva Ronaldo. Everyone was together. Everyone was unified. Loads of people coming up to me, showing love, and just, yeah, that is what it's all about, especially on away day. So big up to anyone that I came across yesterday who watches the channel. You guys all had amazing things to say about, you know, my journey and the channel and people involved in the channel and Man United in general. So big up to all you guys, man. It goes a long, long way. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here, and I'll see you guys. Do you know what? With how quickly everything's evolving, I could see you sooner than I think, but I will see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow with a lot of stuff going on for deadline day. Can we shift players out to get someone in? Can we get a defensive midfielder? Is Diogo Dalot going to leave? Is Daniel James going to leave? Is Jesse Lingard going to leave? And if these players do leave, are we going to bring someone in? My God, if Dalot leaves on loan, we have to get someone. We have to get someone. But as of now, it's still pretty quiet. Anyway, guys, I am out of here. Peace.